Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining. We will wait a little bit to let people go in, and I will start in a few minutes. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining for webinar today. We will be treating the following subject: achieving mastery in TP documentation, from manual efforts to full automation. To present myself quickly, my name is Thomas Gaboury. I'm in charge of the transformation services at Algonomia. I'm an engineer and I'm also trained into business development and strategy. I worked several years abroad in consulting to a company, the project directors to implement large-scale project. I then had a chance to work in the French unicorn as a project engineer in the medtech, and now it's been a few years that I joined Algonomia for this role. To present you quickly, Algonomia, it's a French startup created in 2017. Is composed of a multidisciplinary team that is quite versed into IT development and also tax specialist. And its goal is to provide and create a digital tool to support international tax departments. At Algonomia, we had the chance to work with several international companies. We already work with Schneider Electric Group, Renault Group, Alstom, NG, and Corporation America Airport, who joined us quite recently. So we have the capability to work with lots of entities all across the world and with lots of users. We also have the chance to build strong partnerships with consulting firms like Deloitte and Fidel Avocat. And we also have built some partnerships with education partners like EDEC, the Wirtschaft University in Vienna, and EDAC. To present you our motto at Algonomia is we want you to take control of your data and your processes. By control, we mean from the data gathering of your information to the filing of your data. And we want you to perform this activity through our solution, which is a web-based service, which offers you an environment to collect information, treat your processes, review your information, pilot your information, and then file to the different tax administration. By autonomy, we also want you to give you back control and autonomy regarding your IT finance department for you to be able to perform your actions, and also regarding and also enabling you to concentrate your consulting efforts into high value added activities like working on your TP strategy or reviewing the structure of your TP documentation. To do so, we developed a solution, which is the Leaf platform. The Leaf platform is composed of two main elements. The Leaf platform as itself as a workflow manager and a set of applications that will be responding to the different needs that the tax departments might need. Regarding the Leaf platform and the workflow manager, we can connect it directly to your ERP system to get the information that will be required for your processes. And if this data is not consolidated, we have the capability to spread across your organization questionnaires and process to gather data. This gathering process, we can also add control all along the chain to make sure your data is qualified. Once everything is qualified, we can use it into our set of application that can be divided into two main groups. One is regarding the tax reporting aspect and fiscal risk management. And the second aspect is more regarding OECD obligation and BEPS. To go in even more detail regarding your application and your set, we have two applications dedicated for transfer pricing. We have ATP Leaf, which is the automation of your calculation of the transfer pricing. And we have DTP Leaf, the Leaf that we will talk today, which is have been developed to ensure the automation of the documentation for the transfer pricing. For the other apps we also do the CBCR calculation and filing that usually is coupled with Pillar 2 to have a same base of information. And from Pillar 2, we are doing the calculation, even the simulation if required, if you want to test scenarios, and at the end being able to generate the XML file for the filing. We also do, as I was saying, the risk management with our tool and tax reporting, everything regarding the tax proof and the ETR calculation and simulation. Our vision regarding the transfer pricing technologies, there is two main fields that we want to cover. There is the compliance use cases that some of the applications on the markets are able to perform, but not everything. For our own point of view, we want to perform each and every activity you can see here on this slide. And the other part is the process automation. There is very few actors who are able to do it. They're already able to do some P&L segmentation and operational TP adjustment. But from our point of view, we want to position ourselves at the frontier of digitalization and make you able to perform analysis and simulation of your TP policies to assess the impact on your group. So this is where we are positioning ourselves, and with that we are adding the automation of the documentation to push this information directly into your TP templates and generate them automatically. To give you an overview of the presentation of today, so we will cover the following topics. So first, I will present you a strategic approach to transfer pricing documentation and automation. Then we will see how to set up a mixed data collection process through our tool. Then how to reliably automate the TP calendar. How to standardizing and automating the TP documentation with everything we have been able to gather before. And then take a step back and have a vision of how it integrates into the TP automation and TP calculation. And finally, I will perform a live demonstration of our tool. So for the first part of this presentation, the strategic approach to TP documentation automation, the first part I want to share with you is how when you want to automate, you will have to prepare a standard template and TP template. And the first good way of doing it is, I would say, it's to divide and conquer. It will be to review and assess the data set you have and identify the segmentation of your data to identify which data will be reused between entities and how you will be able to define the minimal number to cover the full scope of your organization. For example, and for some of clients we have been implementing our solution, we have performed this such analysis. In the few image you can have here, you can see that we perform functional analysis. It's interesting because When you have been able to identify this, you have the capability to share between organization or legal entity information. For example, they may be sharing the same TP methods. So this is a good, this is an interesting segmentation aspect. Another aspect would be, for example, to review the business unit segmentation, because they might also be sharing same information regarding the markets. And another aspect that is also interesting is maybe the language that will be accepted regarding your filing. And depending on that and this analysis, you will have a clear vision of how many templates you will be required to be able to cover the whole scope of your company. Once we have been able to identify these templates, the number and the structure, then we have to push data into it. And there is several data points that will be required. There are two main types of elements. First, which will be external, because we will be requiring to analyze the obligation of your TP documentation, what will be the types, what will be the condition of application, the deadlines, the penalties, and everything regarding that to make sure you're able to automate your process. I will present a bit later a tool we are quite proud of and we have developed, which is called Open Tax Calendar. I will go into detail later. And regarding the internal part of data, there is a lot of information coming from a lot of different departments. And here it's very key to identify where is this data, at which level we have to capture it, at what is the right segmentation level to capture this information, and identify the sources. It could be HR, legal system, financial system, ERP system. Once we have done that, we must collect this information, and it's very important here to identify who is going to be in charge of giving you this information and at what time. And from our experience, what we have seen is that there is most of the time no direct links between the teams, and it's more transversal activity where the TP teams have to contact and interact with a lot of departments into their organization. And to succeed into these activities, they have to be able to connect and define properly the information they require. From the implementation we have been performing, we identify 3 key factors to make sure this implementation works. The first one is that you have a strong sponsorship from your group CFO, because as I was saying, it's more transversal activity. So the people have to be informed that they will have to perform these actions. The second one is that there is resources allocated for this activity. Make sure there is budget and dedicated teams that will be able to assist TP teams. Some of the time in the local organization, there is no local tax departments or local TP departments, and most of the activities will have to be performed by the accounting team or the finance team. And finally, the last key element for us is also to have a structured process and a strong reporting system to make sure everything is flowing smoothly. To synthesize these 3 first slides, there is three elements to remember. First of all is to define standard template for your TP documentation and identify the limited, I would say, the less possible number of templates to cover the whole scope of your company. The second point is to to analyze your data structure, identify which data points you will be required and at which segmentation you should gather it. And the final aspect is to process implementation. So who is going to give you the information and at what time? And with these 3 key elements, you will be able to build a full TP automation system with a tool or without, but this is the process we identify through our implementation with our clients. For the second part of this presentation, I will talk about how to set up a mixed data collection process. So as you can see here on this slide is the data value chain we have in the Leaf platform. So first of all, we will be defining the processes to collect your data, and then we will connect our platform to your IT system, so we can connect directly your ERP to gather data. Once this data is flowing to the platform, we have the capability to set up several control steps to make sure the data you are gathering is aligned and qualified to being used for the different steps we will be using later. Once everything is controlled, then you can push this information into the different apps we have been reviewing before. For in this example, it will be DTP for the transfer pricing documentation. And in this platform, you will have the capability to have a full vision of your data gathering process. To go in a bit more detail about the data gathering element, we have the capability in the platform to tackle different scenarios. We can go from a company that is, I would say, not the data is decentralized, so there is no ERP or the data is scattered around the world. So what we can do in the platform is that we can spread across questionnaires that your local teams can fill, and we can also put control steps to make sure this data is qualified. For most of the clients we implemented our solution, it's more a mixed approach. Some of the information is in the ERP system and some of it is decentralized, and we are consolidating everything into one place by mixing, I would say, the approach. And few of our clients are quite mature and have the capability to they have been able to centralize everything, and then the gathering process is much more easier for them. They have a full automation and data gathering system that pushes everything into the platform. Regarding then the data collectors we have, and the way the platform has been built is that we can create custom questionnaires and data structure to, I would say, mimic your data infrastructure. It means that we are quite flexible by the questionnaire or the question you can send to your local team or the data we will be gathering from the ERP. It means that we can completely replicate the structure of information you want to set up into our application. Into the platform, we also have the capability to capture any kind of data. It could be data points, but it could also be documents and attachments, depending on the processes. For example, lots of our clients using the risk fiscal management elements also upload a lot of information into the platform, as I have the capability into our tool to explore this data. So with this process and this data gathering system, you have the capability then in our platform to explore your information. So you will have the capability to consolidate everything into one place and review, for example, entity per entity or at jurisdiction level, worldwide level, your different data for your TP process. The next questions, the next parts we will be tackling is how to reliably automate the TP calendar. For that, we developed and we are quite proud of creating the OpenTax calendar. It's an open source database that has been pre-filled by AI and is consolidated by the community, so everybody can access it. This web page is consolidating all the data we have been able to gather regarding tax obligation and more specifically regarding transfer pricing documentation. This data, this page and this database is gathering information for obligation like the due dates, the condition of application, the penalties, in a structured manner. So it means that you can use this information to automate your process. Most of all, also you can also customize this page or this interface to your company, depending on your presence in the different jurisdictions, to have a clear vision of which obligation you apply to your group. So this is the first step we implemented to be able to automate our calendar. The second aspect is that we have developed a specific application we call the CTC Leaf. This application is to be able to automate your TP process and TP document process. We will have to confront the data and financial data we have been able to gather through the DTP Leaf and the gathering data process we reviewed before, and confront it with the OpenTax calendar data. And this app, the CTC Leaf, is enabling this comparison of information, and depending if the conditions are respected or not, is going to be able to construct into or interface specific processes and tasks to be performed by your teams to make sure you will be compliant regarding transfer pricing obligation. So as I was saying, the database we have been building into OpenTax calendar is structured. What we mean by that is that we reviewed a lot of data set that was available on the market, which were free or you have to pay for. And most of the time it was more like a text depository, so it's quite hard to interpret. And the machine cannot be able to automate anything regarding that. This is why we have created the OpenTax calendar. So as you can see on the side, for us it's much harder to read readable text for a computer, but for us it's going to be this is the only way to be able to automate the full process to generate the task and create the full automation of your TP process. Once we have been able to automate these elements and generate tasks into our platform, it's important here to have the capability to control the process and the controlling process. So in our platform, you have the clear tools and monitors and elements to monitor your process and see how it progresses regarding the deadlines and the constraints you have to perform. So I will go in a bit later in more details during the demo session regarding this aspect. So the next part is how to standardize and automate your TP documentation with what we have been able to see. So we have been able to put the processes in place. Everything is ready into the platform. Then we have to set up a template. And in our interface, it's very simple. You can start from a Word template you have, and the only actions you will have to perform is to define the area of this template where you want to push data off our platform directly into the document. So as you can see on this slide, that every part where you want to push data, you will have to indicate, I would say, between I would say comma information to indicate to the system where you will want to get information from the platform to be pushed automatically. There is no limits into this text dictates the numerical value you can put into the system. So it can be just small elements into a block of text, but you can also insert full section, or I would say full tables or images into the document directly. It means that you have full you're completely flexible regarding the information you want to push inside the document. And for some of the cases you might face, if the template for some of clients, they have to let lots of flexibility to their users for a specific section. So it's not defined into the platform. It will be more manual work performed by a team. You can indicate in our system that you will have you can edit a full section of information into our tool. And once everything is configured into your template, you just have to import it into our solution and make the connection with your data points. And when this is done, you will have the capability to generate automatically for each and every entity you have been defining into your structure the different TP documentation. To give you a bit more information regarding the level of flexibility the tool is offering, for some of our clients, they want an approach that is very restricted, so they only allow users to define values, I would say, in a very specific place of the text. But for some of our clients, they want the users to have a much more broader level of autonomy and flexibility. And then they can use what I called before the editable section, where the whole section of the document is free to be configured and edited by your user, depending on the strategy you want to implement and depending how you distributed the roles and responsibility regarding this process to your teams. In our tools, another point that is interesting and important is that depending on your processes, you can give specific access rights to your organization, because you can have people who have maybe rights on the BU level, you have maybe rights on the jurisdiction level or at the entity level. And our solution is enabling that to your users to make sure the whole data is secured at every point of time when you're preparing your filing, by giving very specific rights with a specific, I would say, function to make sure everyone is performing the task properly and accordingly to the responsibility he have regarding this process. Then we also have a final validation sequence and historization of your TP documentation. So the first point is that once you have been able to configure and collect everything and consolidate everything in one place, you have the capability to review and validate this information into the different data table we have in the tool. Once this is done, you have a specific interface for your TP documentation to make sure to review the data points that you have detected to be pushed automatically into your documentation. You have the capability, if you want, to edit, I would say, do last-minute edits into your document. And if you do that, we will save this modification into the application to make sure nothing is lost during this process. And once everything is ready for regarding these aspects, you can generate, I would say, a preview of your documents directly into the interface to make sure it's responding to your needs. And if it's the case, you have the capability then to generate an export in Word or a PDF file. So this is for the generation of the documentation, but regarding this process, we offer also different tools to make sure your the global process is progressing as you want, and you have monitoring pages dedicated to this application to make sure everybody is performing his task at the right time, depending on the due dates you have in your process. To go a bit, to take a step back regarding what we have seen in this presentation regarding the documentation, it's embedded into a broader scope, which is the TP transfer pricing practice. The objective of such practice is to ensure compliance, ensure that you have proper governance, and ensure the performance. To make everything works properly, there is different processes that are called. We see document production today, but there is other processes around it, like TP adjustments, the process monitoring, and the modeling and scenarios you can be performing depending if you want to assess or to do tax planning. For each and every of these processes, there will be a shared technologies to perform that and share data to be able to perform such processes, and you will be able to get the different outputs we can see on the side, which are the filing and the documentation, the adjustment, the monitoring, and the assimilations. And it's in our tool, what is very key here is that we have built an interface, an environment where everything is able to create synergies. So our ATP leaf and the DTP leaf are communicating with the same data to make sure everything stays coherent and that you have a clear vision for your company of your TP strategy, the TP policy impact on your company, and then generate, depending on that, the right documentation to be shared with the administrations. So this is for the presentation part of this webinar. I will go now in the live demonstration of our tool. I will move and change my screen. Here we go. So as you can see, we are in our Algonomia Leaf platform environment. So this is the landing page. At the bottom, you will find the different apps you might have been subscribed to. We will find back here our DTP Leaf that I will be showcasing today. We have, as I said, cross-functional applications to make sure we are able to perform the processes. So we have the data collectors where we can configure custom questionnaire and database to capture the data. And we have the workflow manager to review the processes and the tasks we have been distributing to the different teams to gather the information. Regarding the configuration of our tool and regarding the segmentation I spoke about at the beginning of this presentation in the divide and conquer, we have the capability to build and mimic, I would say, your organization and your structure to make sure we are able to segment and aggregate data at the correct level. So in this example, we have, for example, built different business units. So we have here in the tool the capability to define all the dimensions and combine these dimensions to be able to replicate your company structure. Once this is done, we have the capability then to reuse all the data and the dimensions we have been creating to allow and to give specific users specific rights to your users, and they will have the capability to perform and review and execute the task depending on the role you have been able to give them. I will go now into the application and DTP Leaf that we're reviewing today. So we have here the workflow manager for DTP. As you can see, we have, for the moment, just one process with several tasks. Well, the goal here is that we have been able to create a task that is decentralized to gather the data for the local files. So we have, in this example, one task per legal entity to gather data at a local level. But for the transaction matrix, we had the hypothesis, for example, that we have been able to connect directly to your ERP system, and then there is just one task that is able to get everything. Once we have been able to do that, we have been able to get and review the data. We just open one questionnaire to show you the interface, but this will be an interface where your users and local users, if everything is not consolidated into ERP, will have the capability to connect and answer directly their questions. Once this is done and we have been able to get data, you will be able to review the consolidated information into our platform. So I will be opening the consolidation module, and here you will have the capability to review every element of it. Once we have all this data and all the financial information, we can compare it with the data we have been able to gather into the Open Tax Calendar. So I will go back at the beginning. If you can connect and everybody has access to this web page, and you can access it by using the dashboard to review and access every obligations that are available for your country. So for example, here we have France obligation, and you can review all the data here. So we have, I would say, everything for the application of this data. Here we go. And everything that we would be able to use and compare with the financial data we have been able to gather. So I will go back into our application and I will go into our CTC app this time. Here I will access the data we have been gathering previously. And I have a button called Launch Process Creation. So here, the application is able to do the comparison between the data you have collected into our software with the OpenTax calendar database. And when I will perform this action, we will have the capability to create the new task that will have to be performed regarding the transfer pricing documentation generation. So I just did it. I will do a quick refresh of this interface. And I will go back then into our DTP application. Here we go. Go into this visual modes. And as you can see now, we have new tasks that have been appeared into the timeline of our tool at different time, because each and every jurisdiction has a specific set of rules. So we have been able to create and generate tasks accordingly, depending on these rules. Once everything is ready, we have a specific interface I showed you before to prepare the documentation. So we have the different tasks to be performed by your teams, and you can access the interface that will be enabling you to review the whole data that have been gathered and how it will play out into your template. So in here, you have the different sections where the data have been gathered. So you have the different variables you have been defining into your templates that will be collected and gathered into the platform. And once we are happy with the information we captured, we can generate into our tool a first visualization of this data. So it will take a few seconds. And here I have now the capability to review my file with the different data points we have been pushing from the platform directly into the TP templates. And when I'm happy with it, I can generate directly a Word document or a PDF document. And that's how we automate, and we are able to generate automated documentation and transfer pricing documentation with our tool. I will come back. So thank you for your time. Do you have maybe some questions regarding this presentation that we might maybe answering? So you can write directly into the chat, and I will answer them. We have a question from Alexander. Thank you. Yes, of course. Yes, we will be sharing the whole demonstration and the presentation will be available on YouTube. And yes, we will share this presentation. Is there any question regarding what we have seen today? So thank you Manoharan, for your question. So there is no benchmarking into our tool. We use benchmarks as an input inside the platform. So we collect the information and then we have the capability to push it directly into the TP documentation. But there is no benchmarking tool inside the platform. Minutes if you still have some questions, maybe. No more questions? Oh, sorry. Complete agreements. So thank you, Volker, for your question. It is only creating OECD type of local files. So no, I mean, we can push any kind of templates in our solution. So you can, if you have a specific template or local file template, you can directly push it into the solution. You just have, as I was showing, indicate properly in the document where the automated data should be injected into the document, but it can be any type. So there is no proposal of templates in our solution. We can automate the one you already have. We can do a proposal, but it is not who we are not doing tax advisory, but we can work with you to produce something. Yes. Tashi, thank you for your question. Christine, thank you for your question. By different format, what do you mean? So I mean, yes, it depends. If there is different templates, we can we'd say upload them directly into the tool, and you can call them specifically depending on the I would say the entities that will be concerned by. Another point that we have in the platform is that we can do some conditional formatting. So depending on the type of transaction they are doing, we can I would say activate or deactivate some sections to adapt directly, I would say, a master template into our tool, and it will be adjusted depending on the answers that have been gathered. Thank you, Elena, for your question. I understand that the phases of the customization and data collection is crucial in this tool. How long can it take to have this finalized in the tool? So it could be, I would say, for the configuration of the data and the structure, it will take, I don't know, it depends on the size of the group, but it can be quite fast. I would say in 1 month we can have replicated, or even less than that, we can replicate the structure. Where it will be a bit take more time is to connect. If you have ERP information, you have your information to the ERP, we have to generate and do the connections. And what will also take some time is to do the mapping of your data to make sure everything is going at the right place. It could take some time, but on our side, for the configuration of the platform, it's quite fast. It will take few weeks to a few months. So thank you, Jeremy, for your question. How the tool manages local files that needs to be in a different language from the HQ language. So we are not doing translation of the files directly, but what you can do is that you can build 2 different templates, one in the current language of the HQ and another one with the language where you have to file you do the filing. So you will be calling one template or another, depending on the language you might be requiring. There is no, and in our tools, there is no limit of number of templates you want to configure inside. All right. Is there any more questions? Wait a few minutes, 1 minute more, and then I will end the call. Christine, thank you for the question. What makes the price of the service number of Langell entities? So the pricing is depending on exactly on the structure of the group. So it will be depending on the number of entities and also the number of users that will be using the solution, because we have to prepare the servers and the support accordingly to the number of people using the tool. No problem. All right. Another information. So I talked about the OpenTax calendar today. There is a specific webinar about it. So if you're interested to join, we will be very pleased. And while it presented this element a few months ago, as I was saying, we are very proud of contributing to the tax community with this tool. And our goal is to build an open source and a community tool to permit everybody to access this data that we believe should be open source and broadly available. If you have no more questions, I will end the call. Thank you very much for your time today, and do not hesitate to contact us if you have been interested. The way we work and how we love to work with the groups is that we offer free proof of concept with your own data. This way you can see how your data can play into our environment, and it's also enabling us to have a clear vision of how to prepare such a project with you. Thank you again for your time, and have a great day.